Call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 201, today Tuesday, June 11th, 2013. Roll call, please, Mrs. Mann.
Mr. Armstrong?
Here.
Ms. Caparelli?
Here.
Mrs. Charlton? Mrs. Hancock?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Notbush? Mr. Price?
Here. We could have the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Did anyone have any corrections or comments about any of the minutes? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the April 30th, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the May 14th, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 28th, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the May 28th, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item is student recognition, and we have some of our high school band members here tonight and Mr. Vaughn to talk about the super state competition that the band participated in earlier this year. So Mr. Vaughn, if you'd like to come up.
We want to thank you guys for honoring us tonight. The Super State competition is really the elite bands in the state of Illinois, based by size and everybody auditions. So we were one of 4 bands in our class in the entire state of Illinois that were able to go down to Champaign and perform. Our students put in countless hours of extra work, extra practices, more kids in my band room than I've seen the entire year as they were preparing for this. But it's a 2-step process for that. First, we have to record and send in our audition tape, which we do in February. So they worked incredibly hard from the end of the semester until the recording session, mid to late February. And then we play the hurry up and wait game for 4 weeks until Illinois makes a decision. And their email comes out on a Friday, and it got to me at about 8:30 that night, congratulating us that we were in. At that point, we select 3 new tunes to take down to Champaign and play in Cranert Hall, which is really one of the elite halls in the country, a wonderful sound and just an honor to perform there. The students played what I've been calling collegiate level literature. It's based on grades 1 through 5. 2 of the 3 tunes we played were grade 5 tunes, which I had played in college, and they're incredibly difficult, incredibly demanding, and our students put in, again, countless hours to prepare these, and they went down to Champaign and represented Westmont phenomenally well. We only have a few students here representing the band tonight. One of the reasons for that is, of course, the Annie production that's going on across town, but also over half my band is involved in the Westmont Community Band, which will be performing on the 4th of July. And it's a real testament to these kids that they understand that if they're not at that rehearsal, it really can't happen. They're really the rock that holds that together. So I'm really proud of them tonight for not only their super state, but also their commitment to the community and understanding that they're part of a bigger picture and a bigger team. So again, once again, thank you all very much for recognizing us tonight. I know everybody I just left over at the high school also was very I'm very proud of being recognized by the board tonight. Thank you. Absolutely. Sure. The few students we have in attendance here tonight, Kylie Heller. Come on up. And Jared Kapusta. And Stephen Mikulak.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
We're really proud they're out there
Yeah.
representing us.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Don't worry about it.
Okay, next item is public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment this evening? Okay. At this point, the board is going to go into closed session for a few minutes, and we will be back out to conclude with our regular meeting. So,
What reason are we doing this?
well, we're going to, it'll be in the motion for personnel.
Okay.
Okay? Closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel issues.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please, Mrs. McMahon.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Yes, mostly.
Okay, we're back from closed session, and we are going to continue with the next item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda. And I'm going to ask if anyone has any items on the consent agenda they would like to pull for individual consideration or discussion.
Not necessarily to pull, I just have a quick point of clarification. On item number 10, the adoption of prevailing wage rate resolution. In the document itself, it references Exhibit A and Exhibit B. I believe Exhibit A is the prevailing wage rate document that was attached. Exhibit B sounds like it's a press release, maybe?
Mandatory notice,
Yeah.
press notice.
Okay. I just didn't see what it was. I just was looking for it and I didn't see it, so I just wanted to confirm what that might be.
You're talking about the two that are attached?
There's two attachments. The one is the prevailing wage resolution 2013, and it references two exhibits. So
If you look in the resolution, it says Exhibit A and Exhibit B, but we don't appear to have an Exhibit B.
and it perhaps it's not drafted yet, but it should be fine.
So it's just a matter of confirming, Kevin, as far as you're aware, is Exhibit B just the public notice that's
Right.
in the
that would
paper?
be
Is
the
that what
public-
Exhibit B is?
No, it would be the public notice.
Okay.
Right.
I did have a question on the asphalt bid, but it's not about the costs or anything. This includes striping, the areas that we're going to be reseal coating?
I believe so.
Okay, and then are we also doing the horseshoe area in front of the junior high?
I'm not sure which areas Mike was having done.
Okay, I say that because I know that there's a little frustration on the part of the drivers there at the end of the day, or as we were picking up kids and driving off, and everybody goes left and right and left from both lanes. I was just kind of hoping that maybe we could talk about having, as a one-way through there, maybe if it was painted with a left arrow and a right arrow as you pulled out, that's all I
Okay.
was trying to
All right,
drive
so,
at.
yeah, we
A
can,
suggestion is all.
I will let Mike know that. And one of the things is, we have a lot of repairs that need to be done. This is just kind of doing a very small amount right now until we know, especially at Miller.
Right,
Until
I
we
know
figure out
Miller's
what we're
got-
doing renovation-wise, and then at the junior high again, to get us through. Redoing everything would be significantly
I recall.
more costly than this. So we're just kind of doing some things to, kind of make do for a while.
Okay, that's fine. It was just, as I said, a suggestion more than anything else.
Okay.
so.
Well, and even if they're not resurfacing that horseshoe, if they're going to be out there striping, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if there's
put a
really
couple
no
arrows
markings
on
on
there
it.
can't be, can't be the end of the world to put a couple arrows out there,
Right.
even if they're not resurfacing that
Yep.
area.
Any other comments? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as, presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. Number 2, approval of student tour. Number 3, renewal of student accident insurance. Number 4, renewal of self-workman's compensation insurance. Number 5, renewal of beverage contract. Number 6, renewal and award of asphalt bid. Number 7, approval of towel service. Number 8, resolution to abate working cash funds. Number 9, adoption of the 2013-14 routine business office resolutions. And there are 9 of those. And I'm not going to read all the titles of them, but there's 9 of them there. Under item number 9, there's 9 separate items. Item number 10, adoption of prevailing wage rates resolution. Number 11, approval of the June 2013 expenditure report and ratification of the May 2013 regular payroll.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, roll call, Mrs. McMahon, please.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Could I just make one comment too about the workman's comp? Because I do think that, our renewal is $21,000 lower than the prior year. And so I think it's always good when the community knows that some of our costs are decreasing, and that's directly attributable to our experience. And we've worked really hard with our staff to make sure that things are, that our work areas are safe, that, teachers aren't climbing on folding chairs and rolling chairs, that they're using step ladders and things like that to hang things, that our areas, we're avoiding slips, trips, and falls. So I think this is, something that we really should highlight to our community, that, and hopefully our experience will keep in that trend, because a $21,000 decrease in a premium is pretty remarkable, given that rates are, for workman's comp overall, are going up. And so this is a nice trend for the district.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you for pointing that out, Kim. I think, they often don't recognize those types of accomplishments, and it really is an accomplishment.
When I think it's taken several years to get here too, right?
It has,
seems like 3 or
yes.
4 years ago, you came and said,
Yeah,
we've
there-
got some issues here, and
Right, when we arrived, there were some issues, and I think they've been addressed.
All right, very well. Next item on the agenda is approval of additional June 2013 expenditure report.
This motion, what we're asking for is because of today being June 11th, and we do not have another board meeting until July, this will allow the business office to issue checks for expenditures as long as they're budgeted expenses, and then the board will see those at the July board meeting. They will see those bills and the payments.
Okay.
And this is something that's very common. I know we do this at SASSET as well. When we have a month off in the summer, we approve this same type of resolution. So, any questions about that?
No.
The chair will entertain a motion to authorize and direct the treasurer to pay any additional bills received before June 30th, 2013 that have been budgeted for the current fiscal year as presented.
So moved.
Seconded?
Roll call, please, Mrs. McMahon.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Just a couple of quick items. One is the Finance Committee meeting is June 26th, 6:30 at South Elementary School. And hopefully we'll get some new faces there, and invitations did go out. And then the only other item I have is the 2013 Joint Annual Conference is scheduled for November 22nd through 24th, and this is typically school boards refer to it as the School Board Convention, but it's the School Board Association, Association of School Administrators, and Association of School Business Officials. So it's the joint or tri-I conference. What we've done the last couple of years for board members, the district will pay the conference fee. And then for board members who wish to stay downtown, individual board members handle their own individual expenses for meals and for lodging. And so the only thing that we need at this time, if you could communicate to Judy your intent, if you are planning on attending the conference, and then if you would also like, the district will make the reservation on your behalf. But then you are responsible then for the cost of the hotel.
Is there a piece of paper this year with all the hotels and rates
We haven't
somewhere?
gotten it yet.
We didn't get it yet,
Yeah.
okay.
We haven't, as soon as we receive that, we'll share that information with you. Again, it's just, again, timing of board meetings. Typically, we get that information in June, and you want to turn around and respond relatively quickly for the hotel reservations so that you get your first or second choice. So if you can let Judy know if you're attending, if you plan on attending, and then if you would require hotel accommodations.
And I know this was one thing that was a budget cut item, I want to say maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And the item that was on the budget cut was the overnight lodging. And I'm not sure how many nights were budgeted for in that, but it was something like $2,400 at that time. It never really included, we pay the full freight for everything, meals, transportation, and all of that kind of stuff. You were still allowed your discretion at turning in receipts for those types of things as per our board policy on board member expenses. And I was just, I do feel in some ways that this professional development is as important as other professional development that we provide staff. And we would treat staff in a similar way as far as reimbursements for some of the expenses. So I think really in some ways it should be left to the individual board member as to whether they want to ask for reimbursement for certain items, or if the board wants to put some sort of stipulation or limitations on it. But it kind of went further than what the board actually cut as far as everybody paying for all their meals and all their transportation and stuff. And I think it never really was that intent. It really was the lodging that got cut. And I do think when, you go down there Friday, and I've done this both ways. I've paid and stayed down there, or I have come home for the night. The problem with coming home is you tend not to get up early enough and you miss the first the first session, and that's really not the point. You want to be there, to get us the most out of what we're paying for registration-wise as far as the meeting goes. So in particular, if you're taking a Friday class and attending Saturday, I really don't think it's unreasonable to ask for some sort of reimbursement or some sort of copay. It doesn't have to maybe be the whole thing for that night's lodging. And of course, I do, my personal opinion, when you're traveling, there should be some sort of stipulation meal stipend or something that goes along with that. And I know after every one of these conferences, you see the newspaper articles come out, and this board bought Garrett's popcorn, and this board went here, and limo rides, and all this other stuff. And I think we've proven to be very frugal and responsible with our district finances. And I do think that, with the guidelines of having to submit receipts and that sort of thing, that, reasonable expenses should be covered. And I would leave that up to the individual board member as per our board policy. So if you feel like, you want the expense reimbursed, I think you should be able to request it. I mean, we, like everybody else, have to deal with our own personal finances, and this meeting coming right before Christmas, it does.
Weekend before Thanksgiving.
The weekend before Thanksgiving,
Every year.
turkey or a conference. So I think you want to, my preference would be to leave it up to an individual board member to make that choice. And I guess I wanted to know if
I
anyone else.
completely agree with everything you've just said. This is the one time a year where a board member might be reimbursed for continuing education in board service. And I don't think it's, certainly within limits. I think within limits, it should be left up to the individual board member. I completely agree.
Everybody's looking at me. I don't really have anything to say at this time.
All right.
I think if I had to say anything, I think the whole board would need to be here to discuss this. I certainly don't have any problem if we can come up with some 50-50 split or something, particularly on that Friday night, because hotel rooms in the city of Chicago are not cheap. So.
Okay. So I just wanted to kind of approach that. But I do think it really is kind of a personal decision in some ways.
I think we should probably take a look at the policy and look at what the actual cuts were and try and figure out, what I mean, like what really was cut and how should that really have impacted each board member and what's really allowed for in the policy. And
Policy is very specific about training and the IASB and those sorts of conferences, and that reasonable expenses should be reimbursed.
Kevin, I think it's worth a review, at least a quick review, maybe even just on our next agenda. Just a quick go over, because it is, as Gary mentioned, it's expensive to stay in the city. And once you're 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 8 years on the board, which is already a volunteer position, you end up putting out quite a bit of money if you want to go and participate fully in that conference. If you want to go back and forth and play that game, but you don't have the full conference experience if you're commuting versus staying and doing all of the things and doing the activities and interacting with people from other areas.
And I did miss, Shannon, you've referenced that Saturday morning. I missed that entirely because I come home on Friday, or I don't go down there until Saturday. So I missed that entirely, commuting down there. So, it is
hard.
something.
It's expensive. I mean, it's expensive, and it's a hard thing to do each year when you are already here as a volunteer to have to lay out, out of pocket for your board service. Yeah, it's hard. It is hard.
Anyhow, I thought I'd step on the third rail and,
Yeah.
and take that one for the team here, but I think
it's
it is
hard.
worth.
I mean, for the board, for the district as a whole, it's a fairly minor expense, but for each individual person's budget,
Right.
the weekend before Thanksgiving and going into the holiday season, a couple $100 a night at a hotel and your food and everything else, it's a financial commitment to participate in that conference for each of us as individuals. which is difficult.
All right. Anyhow, that,
Yeah, we can.
didn't want to make an
reward the,
agenda item out of that,
sure.
but I just did.
But with
I
the
did
full
wanna-
board, we can review the policy and guidelines for the expenses, reimbursable
Great,
expenses.
thanks, Kevin.
Okay. Board reports. Does anyone have anything they'd like to comment on?
I just wanted to mention, although this is more village-related, Saturday night I was in attendance at former Mayor Ron's ceremony there. It was a wonderful event. Lots of people from the town were there. I'm mentioning it because, Mayor Ron is a great guy, and he did a lot for us. Several of us sitting at this board are here because of his support and what he's done for us, so I just wanted to mention that. I think he's a great guy. It was a good time, so.
Very good. And I was in attendance there, and on behalf of the board, I did read the resolution that we passed at our last board meeting honoring Mayor Ron and his service to Westmont, and it was a very nice event, and good to see so many people out to celebrate the accomplishment of somebody who's dedicated themselves to our town the way that he has. So I appreciate his service.
I also want to comment on the high school graduation event. It was the first one I've experienced at Westmont High School. And it was wonderful. I was honored to be able to be there and witness it. It was wonderfully organized. I felt I was very impressed with the level of respect from the families. I've been to a number of graduations where you did not have that level of respect for the other students, and I thought overall it was very well handled. And it was a great event. I thought it was very well done.
I would probably say the same I went to the junior high as well, and also same experience, very professional, handled very well. Everybody had their moment, and it wasn't interrupted by any, inappropriate behavior, and it's nice for the kids.
Very much so. I agree very much so that, it was great to hear every kid's name and let them have their moment walking across the stage and getting their diploma and being congratulated. So both were fabulous events. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I guess not this weekend, the next weekend, and the weekend after that. Progressive Village Performance Networks musical Annie will be at our high school Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there are a number of 201 students in that, so I hope anyone looking for something to do one of those 2 weekends will check that out. And I think that's it for me. Anything else? Okay, are there any public comments? All right. Then the board will move to closed session. Chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining and personnel issues.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. McMahon.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
And there will be a couple of action items when we return from closed session. Okay, we're back from closed session, and we have two action items. First action item is approval of administrative salaries. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the administrative salaries for the 2013-2014 school year as presented.
Did we amend that?
Not the administrative
No, we
one.
didn't
No.
amend.
Sorry.
No.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Okay, Mr. Price,
yes.
Mr. Armstrong,
Yes?
Ms. Caparelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, next item, approval of district non-certified staff salaries. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the district non-certified staff salaries for the 2013-2014 school year as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes?
Mrs. Hancock,
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Okay. Very well. Future meetings that are upcoming, we have a special board meeting July 9th, and that's at South, as I believe Kevin mentioned earlier. And our next regularly scheduled school board meeting is July 16th at 7 here at the Village Hall. Okay.
Do you want to mention the Finance Committee meeting?
I'm sorry, what
And the
date?
Finance, June 26th,
June 26th,
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee, and that's at South?
Correct.
Okay, very well. All right. Anyone have any other comments or anything? Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Still light out there.